Listen, honey, call me. I looked into the homeschooling for Ella.
On July 13th, 2020, Cherie Nicoletta called her daughter from the Roadway Inn, a 2-story motel right off of Interstate 80 in Vallejo, California. She was staying there as a guest under Project RoomKey, a statewide initiative that opened up vacant hotel rooms to people experiencing homelessness during the COVID-19 pandemic. That call went to voicemail.
Right now I'm in a lockdown here at the hotel, the one they brought us to, which is the biggest fucking dive I've ever been in, and as usual.
Cherie was a former career flight attendant whose mental health issues had left her living unsheltered for most of the last 2 decades. She was first placed in a room at the Hampton Inn on Fairgrounds Drive in Vallejo in April 2020. 3 months later, residents at the Hampton were moved to the Roadway, where Nicoletta took issue with conditions early on.
I get in here, both of my lamps don't work, no light in the bathroom, no hot water, what else, paint on the floor. But they're being really strict. They want us to stay in place. But fuck, man, nothing works in here. The TV.
Besides the lamps, Nicoletta said her TV didn't work, and it appeared that there was only one problem after another.
So, we're going to have a real big problem here. They're probably going to have to move us all.
The city would move the RoomKey residents out of the Roadway Inn, eventually. But at least 4 people, including Nicoletta herself, would die in hotels in Vallejo under contract with the city. Paid for with local, state, and federal funds, the initiative was called Project RoomKey, which Governor Gavin Newsom launched in the early days of the pandemic. While it offered people a room to socially distance, the program, as it was executed in Vallejo, provided residents with little to none of the agreed-upon services to help them transition into more permanent housing. And, in fact, residents and the families of people who died have described filthy conditions and neglect by program staff.
Like, she just told me it was awful. She said she hated it. She was, like, feeling kind of sad there. Like, she just said it was dirty and it was gross.
The city of Vallejo has refused to answer basic questions about what happened in the program, including how many people died. It did, however, make a series of videos about Project RoomKey, featuring a resident who, months later, would be found dead in his motel room.
I guess I was in the right place at the right time.
My name is Brian Kranz. I'm a reporter with the Vallejo Sun. In this podcast, we'll take you inside Vallejo's Project RoomKey and what we've been able to confirm through documents, interviews with people who lived in the hotels, and the family members of those who were left to decompose alone in their rooms.
I don't even know what's going on. How long was she dead? That was another thing. I didn't even know how long she'd been dead. You know, was she dead all weekend?
Go back to the scene, AC. That shots fired. Go back to the scene.
Let's keep this momentum going.
Around the issue of homelessness. We are at a facility here in the Sacramento area that currently has 30 individuals that were out on the streets and encampments that were brought into this hotel/motel just recently to get them off the street, to begin the process.
On April 3rd, 2020, a socially distanced California Governor Gavin Newsom announced the creation of an initiative dubbed Project RoomKey.
And we're very pleased today with the partnership that we have with FEMA, the partnerships we have with counties up and down the state of California, that we've identified roughly 7,000 hotel rooms that are now in our possession, where we have occupancy agreements. And we are now.
On face value, Project RoomKey's premise was simple. Offer vacant hotel rooms to people experiencing homelessness because typically their only option for housing was often crowded shelters. Those congregate settings presented a new problem during a respiratory pandemic, especially for people who were more likely to have underlying conditions, making them more vulnerable to a severe COVID infection. Here's Rachel Frederick-Viget, Vallejo's Homeless Services Coordinator at the time. According to her LinkedIn profile, her accomplishments under Project RoomKey included streamlining and coordinating services, delivery and partnerships, including case management, nonprofit medical services, and agency support.
Project RoomKey came about because of the COVID. It just fell in line naturally to what we were already hoping to do and we were already trying to do within the community. The city of Vallejo was the first to really jump in and say, let's do this, and started plans for Project RoomKey here in Vallejo. And so we just went with our best thinking at the time and who we thought would support making a strong program.
According to the city's Project RoomKey webpage, staffing at the 2 hotels would be a mix of administrative liaisons from the city, Solano County health officials, Touro University nursing staff, case and client services managers from the county, and staff from a private security company. That webpage states, quote, staff will monitor participant behavior to ensure that the program rules are followed, to provide daily health and wellness checks of participants, to deliver food to participants' rooms, and to respond to any participant needs, end quote. Some of those featured in promotional videos for the city were happy to have the basic comforts that come with a hotel room, including the simplicity of a locking door and a working shower.
See, sometimes your health don't let you go as fast as you want to go, you know. So it's good. I like it. It's clean. You keep your area, keep your room clean. You know, you can take showers anytime you want to. It's a plus. Anybody have anything else to say? They don't want nothing. So you know that's.
In Vallejo, one participant was Cherie Nicoletta. Nicoletta was born in New York State, but she grew up in Green Valley in Solano County here in Northern California. She was known to be fun and gregarious and was even homecoming queen in high school.
You know, like she was outgoing. Oh, she loved to go to concerts. You know, she was always dressed up. Like, I mean, she had really great taste and great style. Like,
that's Nicoletta's daughter, Alyssa Borles. She recently told The Sun that her mom was a flight attendant for most of her adult life, which helped her fulfill her dreams of traveling. But Borles said her mom struggled with substance abuse, and despite years of sobriety, she relapsed in her early 40s.
My mom also struggled with bipolar disorder, so I imagine she was like really manic, and it was just hard for anyone to deal with.
That led Nicoletta to retire early on. Her Social Security checks and meager retirement benefits couldn't pay for her housing and food. She received housing through Section 8, but that soon fell through.
And she had, I think, like 3 places, but each one she was evicted from for like manic behavior stuff. And then they pulled her voucher. So she was like back on the streets.
When the pandemic hit and Governor Newsom announced Project RoomKey, Nicoletta was able to secure housing. That made Borles feel relieved. Living in Los Angeles with a newborn, Borles worried about her mom, who lived in her car and showered at 24-Hour Fitness, which soon closed along with hundreds of other businesses.
What is my mom going to do? Like, she's living in a car. I'm in LA. Like, not that my mom ever would really let me do too much anyway.
But Nicoletta accepted help in Project RoomKey, taking one of the roughly 100 rooms at the Hampton Inn that the city of Vallejo rented out for a total of up to $650,000 a month, which also included the required on-site meals, private security, and medical services, including behavioral health.
Yeah, when she was at the Hampton Inn, she really liked it. Like, she was like, it's great. Like, I have a nice big room. Like, she sent me pictures one time of her room. Like, she just really liked it.
But Nicoletta and others' time at the Hampton would soon come to a close.
I'm going to start recording now. I just kind of want to be able to...
Scott Morris is a staff reporter for the Vallejo Sun and has been reporting on the conditions facing people experiencing homelessness in Vallejo for the past few months.
I was reporting on homeless encampments in Vallejo, and I heard rumors about how bad things were in Project RoomKey, including about a death that had never been disclosed by the city. I didn't know if it was true or not, but I put out a couple public records requests to see if I could find out more information about the deaths. I was shocked when the records showed that not only had 2 people died, but both of them hadn't been found for days after. After we published the first story, another family reached out to us and said, "That's what happened to my mom."
Scott soon learned of at least 2 other deaths in the program. The first 2 people known to have died were both staying at the Roadway Inn, which sits right up against I-80 and Solano Avenue. The first was on November 20th, 2020, 8 months into the pandemic. That's when staff found 52-year-old Gary Berg Jr. dead in his room. Here's Berg speaking in the first of a 3-part series the city of Vallejo had made about Project RoomKey.
A friend of mine told me his girlfriend had congestive heart failure and stuff, and needed, they found out from a police officer about the program, and I seen him one day, and he told me about it, and I called up there the next day, and within 4 or 5 days I was in.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so blessing.
A coroner's report provided little additional information, noting that Berg had not seen a doctor in the 20 days before he died, and he suffered from heart disease and diabetes. Gary Berg Jr.'s cause of death was listed as congestive heart failure, a pre-existing condition he told the video makers he had. 10 days later, 50-year-old Angie Cook was found dead at the roadway. The coroner's investigation notes that she had not been seen for 3 days before she was found. Cook suffered from hypertension, diabetes, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and needed oxygen. Citing those chronic conditions, the coroner determined Angie Cook died of cardiopulmonary arrest. No autopsy was performed. The day after Cook was found, Nicoletta texted her daughter, quote, "Another one died yesterday. 3 in 2 weeks dead!" Exclamation point. The city, however, has confirmed only 2 deaths at the motel in November 2020.
And then I called her and I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "They're trying to kill us here. They're trying to kill us off one by one."
That's Alyssa Borlez, Cherie Nicoletta's daughter.
And like, it's so hard because like when my mom was alive, I always was like so defensive with everything that she said. Like I was like, "Mom, what are you talking about? Like, who's trying to kill you? You know, like you're being manic." But like in hindsight, like was she being crazy?
Weeks after Angie Cook was found dead in November 2020, when the city cut off new enrollees to Project RoomKey, the city hired an inspector from Express Air Testing in Burbank who went room by room in the Roadway Inn, documenting mold growth. Here's Vallejo Sun reporter Scott Morris again.
I did a public records request. The city gave me 1,600 photos taken by the inspector. He went room by room documenting mold growth and taking moisture readings. Basically, every room shows evidence of some kind of mold. Some of the rooms had large black patches of mold growing up walls, on windows, in air conditioners, next to bathtubs, and in the kitchens. The moisture readings in some rooms were higher than the instrument could even detect.
Mold is really bad for people at a higher risk of lung issues, even without COVID. A 2004 report from the Institute of Medicine states that dampness and the mold growth that can come with it may cause or worsen upper respiratory tract issues, including coughing and wheezing. They can also exacerbate asthma and potentially cause severe respiratory infections in some people with severely compromised immune systems. Some of the Project RoomKey residents who were admitted to the program because of chronic medical conditions had just the kinds of health issues that made them more vulnerable to adverse effects from a mold infestation. In October 2020, the city of Vallejo contracted with a San Jose-based nonprofit called Unity Care to provide case management services for RoomKey residents. The contract specifies that Unity Care would take over managing the property in December, but Tatiana Colon Rivera, their director of strategic partnerships, says they didn't do that, including not having staff present at the hotel on the weekend. She said in a statement to the Vallejo Sun that the city was responsible for managing the property, including janitorial services through the property owners. Unity Care says they're taking over the property management was contingent on the city buying the property, which it did not do, nor is that specified in the contract. This is not the first time Unity Care has been accused of providing at-risk people with poor living conditions. The Sun's Scott Morris has details on that.
In 2019, the State Department of Social Services revoked Unity Care's licenses to operate 6 foster care facilities in the Bay Area. At 2 facilities in San Jose, the state said staff were sleeping during their shifts. At one of those facilities, the state reported that there were holes in walls and the backyard was full of garbage, including a broken microwave. 2 of the bedrooms did not have smoke detectors. At another facility in South San Francisco, the state described holes in walls, exposed wires, no toilet paper, and soiled furniture and floors.
In the months following Nicoletta's death, Unity Care called Project RoomKey, quote, remarkably successful. Here's their project manager in Vallejo, Kevin Sharps. He joined Unity Care shortly before it became involved in Project RoomKey. This is from a video touting a vaccination program at the Hampton Inn. Sharps is speaking from inside the hotel's lobby and not wearing a face mask.
Project RoomKey started off as a state-funded program to protect homeless citizens from the COVID virus. And the program has turned out to be remarkably successful. Not only have we protected people from the COVID virus, but people have been able to find jobs and reconnect with family and friends and do other healthy and productive things with their time here. So to events like today.
That video was posted in August 2021, 2 months after Sharps, along with Cherie Nicoletta's son Robbie, discovered her dead body on the floor of her room at the Hampton Inn. Early in 2021, RoomKey residents were moved back to the Hampton Inn just over Highway 37 from the Six Flags Discovery Kingdom theme park. The RoomKey residents who moved back into the Hampton early last year said that conditions there quickly deteriorated. Here's Scott again.
Yeah, several people described trash piled outside of doors. Some people would urinate in the elevators or hallways, and it would never be cleaned. Some people who had pets would allow them to defecate in common spaces in the hotel. That wouldn't be cleaned either. The city has said there was so much damage after the program and anticipated paying about $1 million to the hotel for repairs.
On May 20th, 2021, 38-year-old Margaret Morgan was found dead in her room. According to the coroner's report, Morgan was reported missing by her mother, who was living across the hall from her daughter. Morgan's mother told investigators that she had last seen her daughter on May 9th when they spent all day together. While she knew her daughter liked to keep to herself, Morgan's mother became concerned after not seeing her for so long. She asked hotel staff to check on her. Morgan was found unresponsive on the floor. The coroner's investigation could not determine a cause of death for Margaret Morgan because her body was so badly decomposed after being dead for days. Less than 2 weeks later, in early June, Cherie Nicoletta's son, Robbie Perry, made yet another trip down from Vacaville to Vallejo. He made the 25 or so mile drive numerous times, often checking in on his beloved mother. This particular drive was to take his mother from the hospital back to her hotel room after she had tested positive for COVID-19. Nicoletta quarantined in her room for the next 2 weeks as her children tried to make sure that she was okay. But Borrelez said she had trouble reaching her mother during that time, and when she finally did, she apparently was still sick.
And I was like, well, Mom, if you're not feeling good, call 911 again. And she said, someone did a wellness check on me, and they came to my door and they didn't do anything. They just took my temperature. And I was like, I did a wellness check on you. I can't get a hold of you. You can't go so long without calling me. And she was like, they don't do anything, Alyssa. All they did was come to my door and take my temperature and tell me not to leave my room. They don't do anything.
A few weeks later, Nicoletta called her son's longtime partner, saying nothing, only moaning as if she was in pain. Perry said he went to the hotel to check on his mom, but the electronic room key she had given him didn't work. Perry said security guards couldn't open the door either, telling him to come back Monday when Unity Care's project manager Kevin Sharps would be there. That answer apparently wasn't enough for Perry. He said he went back to the hotel several times, trying to find a way into the room. Someone working at the hotel told him his mother had been taken to the hospital. Perry checked with those hospitals, but he said none of them had admitted his mother. Distraught, he went back to the hotel that Monday morning to check on her.
I was still hoping she was in the hospital, but I said, you know what? I was coming down the hill, coming from Vacaville, and I said, I'm going to go check just to see, and that's when that day is when I found her, and yeah.
Perry said that he met Kevin Sharps there, who took him to his mother's room number 305.
Yeah, and then asked me if I'm ready for this, Are you ready for me to open the door? What do you know that I don't? Because I've been ready fucking all weekend. I've been trying to break in here to see if my mom was in here, so that was kind of weird too. Luckily I went by there because, who knows how long she would have been stuck up there if I didn't go there that morning to, check on her. Mm-hmm. Who knows how long she would have been in there for.
Cherie Nicoletta was 63 years old. When asked about the deaths in the program and specifically why it took so long to discover Nicoletta, given that her son was trying to reach her, Unity Care said it didn't have any knowledge of such warnings. In a statement to the Vallejo Sun, Unity Care said their staff, quote, did not work nights or weekends, so we have limited knowledge of what specifically occurred with respect to those residents. No Unity Care staff was aware of Cherie Nicoletta's death before she was discovered by Kevin Sharps and her son, end quote.
I guess I was in the right place at the right time when I see my friend that day, and he told me about it, so. been a life change for me.
That's Gary Berg Jr., one of the first people who died in Vallejo's Project RoomKey. By the time the city used this quote from him in a video posted in February 2021, Berg had been dead for 4 months.
You know, having medical issues, you know, and then because I was off work for a year for carpal tunnel on both my hands. And then immediately when I was ready to go back to work, I had spinal column surgery. So, I mean, there was 2 years I was off right there. And that pretty much cost me my house and everything else.
In the same series of videos, Rachel Frederick-Viget, Vallejo's former homeless services coordinator, said,
"This pandemic has changed the face of how we address persons who are experiencing homelessness. I don't think that we will ever go back to the way it was before. There's been too much growth. There's been too much learning for us to do anything but take what's worked so well here and carry it forward."
Frederick-Viget resigned from her position in March 2021.
And we will move on to action item number 11D. Madam Clerk.
Consider and reallocate American Rescue Plan Act funds of $400,000 from the Downtown Streets team to homeless response efforts and adopt a...
When the Vallejo Sun first began reporting on the deaths in January of this year, we were able to confirm some of the conditions people experienced in those hotels. Not long after, at a public hearing, city leaders were bombarded with questions about who would be held responsible and ultimately accountable.
So under the auspices of Project RoomKey, 3 people died. I don't know who's responsible for their deaths, but that's just unacceptable.
They completely withheld the fact that at least 3 people died in Project RoomKey, while these very organizations, which we are about to grant additional funding, were supposedly providing medical and case management services. The change needs to be at the top. If not, we'll see continued misuse of taxpayer funds, lawsuits, and deaths that could have been prevented.
In response to those concerns, City Attorney Veronica Nebb defended the city's role in Project RoomKey, saying those who participated in it were, quote, adults with rights. She said providing resident services was the responsibility of the 3 nonprofits tasked with the job.
We rented rooms for people. We didn't knock down their doors if they didn't answer them. We didn't force them to interact with service providers. We gave them shelter, isolated them in a place where they weren't as exposed to COVID as they might have otherwise been, and that was the extent of the program.
That kind of response rubbed some people the wrong way, including first-term Vallejo City Council member Tina Areola.
And I'm sorry, 3 deaths are way too many. Yeah, could there more have been died out in the camps? Maybe, we don't know, but 3 is way too many. And now that I find out that we weren't involved in that because it wasn't our program, thank goodness I don't have blood on my hands because it wasn't a city program. It was run by somebody else.
At the time, it appears that not even Areola and other city officials knew that Cherie Nicoletta had been the 4th RoomKey resident who died. Nicoletta's family held a memorial for her at Northgate Christian Fellowship in Benicia, but Nicoletta's family still has found little peace.
I mean, I definitely think that people who are living in Hotel Project RoomKey, I think that they can be lumped in as this group of meth users, homeless, mentally ill. I think sometimes people think like, no one cares, like let's just move on. But, you know, people do care, you know, I mean, these were people. Like they might have had problems just like anyone else, but they were still people and they still deserved dignity and respect. And I just feel like, I just question, I wonder, you know, were they treated with that? I mean, just being, again, isolated in these rooms and some of them purely left to die.
Yeah, I'm still recovering from it, you know.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
And I don't know if I ever will, you know, because like I said, what's happened has happened. You know, that's what happened to my mom, and I'm never gonna forget, you know, how it happened and how I had to go through all that. So yeah, there's nothing. It's just like I said, I don't wish that like on my worst enemy what I had to go through, you know.
While the city of Vallejo continues to dodge questions about how exactly those hotel programs were run, the families of those who lost their loved ones still want answers. For now, people like Cherie Nicoletta's family still hold on to artifacts of what they lost, including the reminder that they were denied a chance to say goodbye.
Fucking asshole. Okay, love you. Call me. Bye.
This podcast is a production of the Vallejo Sun. Scott Morris has done the bulk of the reporting on this topic with a little help from his fellow staff writers, John Glidden, and myself, Brian Kranz. To read Scott's original reporting and to see photos of the hotels and other supporting documents used in this ongoing investigation, please visit vallejosun.com and click on the Housing tab to learn more about our reporting on many issues covered in this podcast. Feel free to reach out if you have something to share. Thanks for listening.